right. Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. This is DFS Army's pre-lock show where we are here to answer your questions. You all always have a lot of questions, so we will not get to all of them, but we will try to get through as many as possible, while also just kind of letting you all know what we're doing on this slate. No tattoo today. He lost his voice, as mine also seems to be trying to go away too. But man, it's been a solid week. Like Thanksgiving was awesome. Friday was a little bit more hit or miss. But we're here to focus on this slate. We know it's a little gross looking, but I have the guys here. Burns, Raz, are y'all feeling better about this slate than most?
I guess.
Love the enthusiasm.
I guess it's just a slate, man. It's just one of those slates that you get every year. We get at least once a year that nobody knows what to do with, and it becomes like, what the hell am I doing? Nothing makes sense. But I don't know.
It's where you get to embrace the ugly. It's ugly, but embrace it. We get to get weird. It's okay. I like having slates like this. It's fun. Raz, I know you have some interesting takes on this slate too, so looking forward to getting into that. How are you feeling?
Feeling great. I haven't watched any football in a couple weeks. Back into, I don't know, civilization now, I guess. I have phone reception and radio reception, so
you make it
feel
sound
like a
you've
new
been in
person.
rehab, man.
Well, I was in the middle of the woods. I mean, basically like rehab, like mental reset. Hunting and staring at trees and squirrels and shit for 9 days. Yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you back. Cujo, good to have you in the chat. JP, I agree. It looks ugly, but stick to the process. You're going to end up in a good place. Carlos, appreciate you as well, keeping us on track here. As you all see, every show has talked about it. You don't see a lot of green when you look at this slate of games, but let's stay focused. Let's look at these quarterbacks. You're going to see a lot of ownership all over the place. So, guys, I'm curious to kind of see how y'all are thinking about single entry quarterbacks. Who are you trying to prioritize on this slate? Is it going to be the chalk, CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert, or are you looking elsewhere? Raz, I'll start with you. Single entry, where are you going? Is it your boy?
No, we'll save that for non-single entry. I mean, I'm kind of hoping you guys can talk me into some quarterbacks today, because right now, the unmentioned quarterback along with Jacoby Brissett and Tyrod Taylor are basically the only two other guys that I'm playing. So I think single entry for me would be Jacoby Brissett. 20 plus in every start, DK point wise. Like, it's just, obviously his price has come up finally, but I just don't think it's enough based on what he's been doing. Like Stroud and Herbert, just they fail so often that I just don't understand their ownership number. And plus, I think like the Chargers can just run all over the Raiders too. Like, I just don't think Herbert will have to throw it more than 23, 25 times.
Same. Burns, where are you at? Single entry quarterbacks.
I mean, that's, single entry is so much of my bankroll that's in play. So I have to be really careful on who I pick and who I'm really establishing as my guy. I don't understand the Stroud play. He's in optimals everywhere I look. And Stroud is just a guy that really has not been good on the road. The splits are just not in his favor. And there's a lot of interest on Nico Collins today in a Sauce Gardner matchup. I have added him to my sheet, though I'm not loving it. But I wanted coverage on him, and that's why I added him. But I'm not adding Stroud in my MME runs. How I would handle Stroud if you want to use him is he's a cash play only. Simply. I'm not even using him in single entries. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the Stroud situation.
Yeah.
Today, for guys that I'm kind of debating back and forth with, are basically lower salaried guys, guys that are under 6K. Keeping to my rules, like my metrics, my processes, under 6K and high dollar single entry contests that I enter, it's there. It's a noticeable trend. And so for me, that's where I'm going to land. So it brings in guys like Sam Darnold. It brings in guys like Jacoby Brissett. It brings in guys like Tua Tagovailoa, Cam Ward, and also at bare bones minimum, Tyrod Taylor. So these are the kind of guys that I'm kind of debating back and forth with, and I'm probably going to land. I worry about the on the road for Jacoby. I do. I worry about that. That's a worry for me. In Darnold, everybody's talking about the revenge narrative, but I don't really give a shit about revenge narratives when I look at players.
Yeah.
All I really care about is their metrics and the numbers. I don't give a hoot about revenge. It doesn't mean a single thing to these guys in the NFL. It just matters what they do efficiency wise. And he's a very efficient quarterback, especially at home. So, granted, he didn't have a great performance a couple weeks back against Arizona, but they basically took themselves out of the game because their defense scored everything. So I don't really count that game. So he's been good outside of that. But yeah, I mean, I could probably just reside my thoughts around Jacoby Brissett, but then MHJ kind of muddies things. Is it just hit Brissett with McBride and call it a day? Probably in single entry. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like my thought process, but probably between noon and 1 o'clock. Myself, I'll have to figure it out along with my partner. Like we're gonna have to figure out where we want to go in single entry. So
yeah, no, I get it. I hear you, and I'm in a similar boat, and sounds like similar range. Right now, I'm deciding between Sam Darnold and Tua Tagovailoa for my single entry quarterback for pretty much the exact same reasons you mentioned. But right now, I'm leaning towards Tua, but it's a weird week, y'all. You're not going to feel great whoever you choose. If Brissett was at home and if MHJ wasn't playing, it would be an easy spot for me to choose him. But it's so weird with the Cardinals seeing their receiver one returning, and you're like, well, their offense look worse now. That's so wild. But let's see. You're right, JP 83. One of these games are probably going to shoot out, and you want to make sure you're on it. We'll touch on which ones we think that could be. Burns, I know you kind of talked through quarterbacks you like below 6K already. Are there any quarterbacks you're interested in paying up for in MME?
Yeah, so a couple others. I mean, Baker, I have him in my pool, but he's coming in at such a low ownership for me. It's 2% in runs for me. That I'm fine with that. I will get away from the injury stat. Like if he happens to get knocked out of the game, I get away from that. So 2% gets me away from that. But at least I have coverage on him. Maybe I boosted a little bit to 5. But I don't know. I think he's just an okay play today. But I do like Emeka in this one, even if Baker gets knocked out. I still think Emeka can do well. Because I think Old Man River can still get him the football in different ways. So Teddy Bridgewater, that is. So I mean, yeah, Emeka is probably the guy for me as a primary stacking partner, and then Tez Johnson as the secondary. And then outside of that, yeah, I will have exposure to Justin Herbert and MME because I need to cover my basis on these guys. So yeah, I'll have coverage on him. I'll have coverage on through hand builds on Josh Allen. And I'll have coverage on Matt Stafford at a lower percentage. So I'm at field weight with Josh Allen. I'm nothing above him. It's just I'm hand building those lineups. So
yeah, no, I understand that. Raz, you haven't really had a chance to talk through your quarterback pool. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Are you sure you want to hear my love?
Hey, everyone's saying it in the chat. It's a week to get weird. It's hard to find a lot of true logic. So yeah, I want to hear everything you have to say, Raz.
All right. Well, I shortly before the show started, I put my cores up on the site, and for anybody that is a non-member, I will give away one of my core plays, and it is at quarterback, and it is Cam Ward. Listen, everybody's going Tyrod Taylor. I think his ownership is going to be a lot higher than the 5% we're projecting because he's just mispriced, I guess, really. But Cam Ward at home, Jacksonville's pass defense has been pretty bad. And one of the big things we talked about early on when Cam Ward was brought up, being the number 1 overall pick, is playing Cam Ward early in the season, is we just didn't believe he had any kind of a ceiling at all. It was kind of the wait until we saw a ceiling. Well, we just saw them go through the ceiling last week in a tougher matchup against Seattle, where he threw the ball 42 times. He's thrown the ball 79 times over the last 2 weeks. Looking better, bigger scrambles too. I just think that there's upside in the matchup, and I am going with it. I'm obviously a large field GPP guy, so I am just pivoting some off of Tyrod Taylor, off of Tyler Shuck, who's getting some ownership, which I don't get. The CJ Stroud ownership, the aforementioned, just doesn't make sense to me. Coming off of a multi-week being out with a concussion, you think he's just going to step in and be strong on the road, right? So I'm going to Cam Ward, and it's probably going to blow up in my face. But if it doesn't, I think I have a shot at taking things down. I am double and even triple stacking him, just because the salary. It's the same thing that I'm doing with in my Tyrod stacks. To be a little different, I'm triple stacking the Jets. I am just full onslaught Tyrod with Breece Hall, and then 2 guys, either Mechie or Adonai Mitchell and Mason Taylor, 2 of those 3 guys along with Hall. So, that's the way for me to get different with my Tyrod exposure. I mean, Jacoby just makes so much sense from up. I'm debating not playing, Baker. I'm debating not playing Stafford.
Okay.
I don't really know what to do. I do want to get in some Josh Allen. That Pittsburgh pass defense weak enough, and I mean he just has the highest ceiling of any quarterback on this slate. So I feel like on a weird slate like this, probably just play the really good player in Josh Allen.
Yeah. I want to crap on that Cam Ward play. I'm not doing it because it does sound crazy. But when you put it in the context of people are playing a shit ton of CJ Stroud, Tyler Shug, Tyrod Taylor, why not play Cam Ward? The thing that worries me a little bit with him is that the rushing upside has to be there. That has been increasing over the last 2 weeks. We've seen more efficient running from Cam Ward, so it makes me feel a little bit better about that. It's just not something he's done a ton of this year in general. So it's hard for me to get overly excited about it. But I understand your point. It's a week to get weird. So I don't hate it since he's low owned. You can take those kind of shots. I'm pretty sure every quarterback that I'm on has already been mentioned. The one, let me double check. I think there's only one that we didn't talk about that, Raz, you might hate just as much as I dislike Cam Ward, but I have some interest in Kirk Cousins. He looked like absolute trash last week, but this Jets defense is one that we can pick on. This could just be another situation where the Jets beat up on another bad offense, but it wouldn't shock me in a week that I expect things to get weird if this Falcons offense is able to beat up on this beat up Jets defense the way that they should have been able to the last couple of weeks. So, Raz, do you think that one's as crazy as Cam Ward?
I mean, I personally think it's crazier just based on what we've seen out of Cousins, plus not having Drake London. it feels like one where, and I do have some interest in some of the Atlanta pieces, but I'd rather just dart throw with like Mooney or Pitts or Bijan and just hope you get that part right.
Yep.
Because I just don't know if Cousins is carrying multiple pieces, but I mean, like I get it from an ownership number, like he should be overlooked and he's cheap too, right? Like he's in that 4K range that we're talking about. So like that part stands out to me, but I just, we thought when he stepped in a few weeks ago in that random day where we could just jump on everybody and all of a sudden that offense just dudded. Yep. And wasn't that one even at home like that, so I don't know. My personal stance was just play like Pitts or Mooney as a one-off and then Bijan. Yeah. Bijan being probably my main bring back in my Tyrod triples. But even then I'm not bringing back a player in every Tyrod lineup just because I don't really want to trust that Atlanta offense.
Yeah, that was my plan earlier this week, was to just play some of the pieces from the Jets game and not play Tyrod. But, I'm bought in now. We're playing Tyrod. Chucks, appreciate the super chat. He said, I have great feelings about today. I just pray Tua will be in the nuts quarterback now that his favorite red zone tight end Waller is back. Man, I hope so. Appreciate the super chat, man. All right. Bijan with Cousins at quarterback has been no bueno. You're right. It's been rough for him lately. Any quarterbacks added, Burns?
Outside, I think my player pool. The only quarterbacks that have been added, I'm just hand building with. So outside of I think I have 8, maybe 9 in my cheat sheet. So outside of that, I'm just hand building with them. It's not anyone that I want to add to my player pool. So guys like I am going to, because today is such a bad day from a quarterback perspective. I am prefacing that first. And so my process is on this play is that everyone is good. I'm going into this slate that everyone on this slate will fail. I don't care who it is, they will fail. And so I'm taking stances of that. So I think in a divisional matchup at home, I think Daniel Jones is going way overlooked today, especially in MME. And I'm talking about massive field GPP contests, like Millie Makers, mini maxes, play actions. I'm not talking low dollar. I'm not talking low entry contests here. I'm talking huge contests. Mm-hmm. I think Daniel Jones is an overlooked quarterback. I've been going back and forth with him all week long. Like, yes, he's going up against Houston. Houston is the number 1 defense against the quarterback position. And everyone is on the other side of the ball, but the better side of the ball is at home, and they're in a better spot not only because of that, but they have, outside of Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz, I don't really like anything else on the Houston team. And Nico's going up against Sauce Gardner, so I think that could be a spot that is easily fadeable in addition to Stroud. I think Dalton Schultz needs to be in your player pool. I think he's a really good play today. But when I look at Daniel Jones and I understand it, and I kind of came off of him a little bit because of the fibula fracture, but I don't give a shit about that anymore. I really think Daniel Jones, like everyone else, can fail. He will fail. Probably 95% of the time he will fail in my mind. So I'm building that into my ownership of him. And I just think that him stacked with a piece like Alec Pierce or Tyler Warren is viable. And that's kind of really why he's like one of the guys that I'm outside of my player pool with. Because he's home, he's favored. And these metrics matter. I don't care about what anybody says in a chat that happened yesterday about these metrics not mattering. These metrics matter. And if you want to blast them as not mattering, well, you know what? There's Vegas lines for a reason, and these matter. All the best players in DFS stratosphere use Vegas lines this way. The best ones in the world, guys. So if you want to just throw them aside, it doesn't make you any good of a player. So
yeah, I always go with the philosophy of try to take in as much information as possible, and then you can utilize that in your process. You don't have to take it as like, oh, this is what happens 80% of the time, so I'm always going to do it. It's like, okay, this is what happens most of the time. Probably want some exposure to it, or, maybe I'll fade it, but you shouldn't just not take in that information like it's not valuable. You can always get so much out of it. Is Xavier legit? Man, he's there. He's present. I don't love him, to be honest. Thoughts on Michael Wilson, even though MHJ is back? Raz, I'll toss this one to you. Any interest in Michael Wilson here?
I was having interest. I am obviously a little worried. We're not going to see 15 plus targets unless MHJ just isn't a full go, and the price increase does kind of make it tougher because I feel like he probably needs those targets because he hasn't scored a touchdown, since week 2. So he couldn't find the end zone the last couple of weeks as the number 1 target from the wide receiver position. I'm using him, but I'm probably going to cap myself a little bit because I just don't want to be too invested in the muddied scenario, outside of Trey McBride. McBride's just going to get his targets no matter who's out there with him. So, yeah, I want to have exposure. I just don't want to have too much.
How are you thinking about this situation, Burns?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, I think Wilson can outproduce him today. He is actually propping to, let me see, I need to make sure. He's propping at almost 2 points higher than MHJ right now, and they're $100 difference in salary, with MHJ $100 greater. And that's kind of significant because anybody that's usually propping 2 points higher than another player, they're usually probably in and around about 500 to 500 and above in salary. So if they're really close in salary, and the one is propping way more, then it's probably telling you something. So
yeah.
Wilson's probably the better play on paper.
Yeah, it's once again so weird having your receiver 1 come back and you feel worse about the situation. I do think the final conclusion for the Cardinals will be that they need to involve Michael Wilson more than he was being utilized before MHJ left. My problem is I just don't know how long it's going to take for them to figure that out. So I don't hate the play. Let me see if I'm actually even getting exposure to it right now. No, I actually do have a decent amount of Michael Wilson. So yeah, I definitely don't mind it. Let's see here. Next, let's talk about some running backs. People in the chat are asking about Achane. Do we feel like he's the top running back play on the slate? And if it's not him, who is? Raz, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, for me, it's going to be Achane. Before I even did any research, I obviously built some first look lineups, and Achane was the one running back that I just jammed in all of them. But I also think that Breece Hall, and then as much as we don't think that Bijan works with Kirk Cousins, I think Bijan's probably the guy that I want to make sure I get over the weight on, because to come off of some Achane to Bijan. But then really for me, it's kind of just go by a gut feel. Like one other guy that I'm super high on is going to be ETN. Especially, it's going to just make it easier for me to be super overweight because of Cam Ward being in a lot of lineups for me.
True.
So the bring back part, but ETNs just look really good. That 60 to 70% snap rate or touch rate just seems to fit him. So those are kind of the couple guys. And then it's, like I want a running back from Pittsburgh against Buffalo. We've been picking on Buffalo with running backs. So problem is you just have to kind of flip a coin. Jalen Warren's going to get a bunch of carries. Gainwell's going to get carries, but then also all the targets out of the backfield. So that one's just go with the game script and then pick the running back that fits that one. I think most people think Gainwell because he's cheaper and expect Buffalo to be in the lead, but I kind of like Warren a little bit more.
Okay. Where are you landing? And I like the Warren call, Raz. I thought I was the only guy on that, but I'm with you there too. Burns, where are you when it comes to running backs? Are you saying things the same way or differently here?
Yeah, I mean, Achane, right now he's the only guy above 30% for me on the entirety of the board. Matchup, the Vegas factors, the Vegas metrics, the matchup metrics are there. And, it's his salary point is pretty good. We're at 8,300 with him today. So he's really the fourth highest salaried running back or on the board. And he probably has the best matchup of all four of them. So I do like him the best out of those top four guys. Really, I'm running 9-10 running backs today. And from him, it goes to Bijan. And this is not like in any specific order. So Bijan would be another running back that I like today. I like that his team basically needs to basically get him moving to do anything in this game. So I like him. James Cook, I have I have a lot of like on him. Because they have two offensive linemen out in this game that are starters, I think he becomes a primary dump off guy. And he's been that way. He's done that in the past. And I think he becomes the primary guy in this. And then the secondary guy for me would be like Shakir in this offense for Buffalo. Other guys that I have in my player pool, I have Breece Hall. The guy that I think is significantly interesting to me. I talked about him on tournament tactics earlier. So Carolina disguises coverages at 46% of the time. And when Los Angeles Rams go up against disguised coverages, Kyren Williams becomes a significant part of the offense, and as does Puka Nacua. And this is really why I think Devontae Adams is like 1C for me today in this offense. I think it's Kyren Williams today for me in this middle range, him and ETN. I'm 100% agreement with Raz. ETN is a great play today too. And I like those builds with those two together. And then you have like a third running back behind them in the flex. So I really like that today. Other guys that I'm getting on to, Kenneth Walker, I'm getting on to him. I like the mini stacks with him of, potentially going with him and JSN and getting all the touchdowns and all the production. Or you think it might be more of a defensive game where they have to grind out the game and then it's Kenneth Walker in the defense. So I like both factors there in play. But I would never have Kenneth Walker with Darnold. A running back that is at $5,000, and I'm not really liking him at all.
Okay.
To be quite honest with you, I think other coaches are on him, and maybe people in the industry, which I really don't care what other people in the industry do. But I think Devin Neal might be a bust today. I think he could bust. $5,000. He's got to get in around 15 plus. He's got to do a significant amount to get there. The reason why I think he may bust and he may not cross the end zone is Taysom Hill. I think Taysom Hill may be the guy that vultures him. And so Taysom Hill has done it in the past and he can do it in the future. His prop the last I looked was plus 180. And for a tight end, he's the second on the board. So it's really interesting, his prop. And then, for there, I mean, it's, I looked at the two Pittsburgh running backs, and if I was, to go with any of them, it would probably be Gainwell over Waddle or over Warren, but I don't know. It's an interesting dilemma there.
Yeah. In my GPPs, I just took shots on both because I feel like one of them will get there, but I agree. It's a coin flip which way that really goes. Are you playing a good amount of Taysom Hill? Do you buy into the ownership here? Or do you think it'll be a bit higher?
What's his ownership right now?
1.4.
I don't think he's going to get much higher than that. I think he settles in around 3%.
Nice. Okay. I like that.
Especially in the Millie Maker. I think he'll probably settle in at 3%. Your sharp players will be on him.
Yep. Well, I was over the field, but I was like, this ownership felt a little low. Let's see. Raz, what were your thoughts on like the Devin Neal, Kamani Vidal type of plays?
I'm gonna play Devin Neal, but like I feel a lot like Burns. Seeing Taysom take 10 carries last week is a pretty telling sign. Vidal, I love. I covered the afternoon slate, and he's my core play on the afternoon slate. I think that offense just had a terrible week last week. I get there's some issues with the Chargers offensive line, but coming back home, I think Vidal kind of bounces back in what could be his last week as a starter, right? With Hampton's practice window being opened. Yeah. I think it's just a good spot for him. And I like the price point, and I do think that people could just kind of overlook it. Especially because like Kenneth Walker stands out so well below him in a spot that I think Kenneth Walker's obviously really good. Another name in that range would be Aaron Jones. If you are on Sam Darnold, like Aaron Jones getting enough targets, and you have a rookie quarterback making his first start, like just dump off to Aaron Jones probably could happen. So I do like, mixing in some Aaron Jones at, what is he, 3%? I mean, that's, you can get 6% and not worry about your shares all that much and still be over the field weight.
Yeah, fair. I am pretty much on all of the running backs you guys mentioned. I didn't think about Jones too much, but I can understand that play. The only thing I'll add is I am fading Breece Hall this week. Just don't like his touchdown equity, and I don't like him when he's chalky in general. And so I'm around like half field weight there.
I like Vidal too. I'm in agreement with you, Raz. I just skipped over him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you. Vidal is a really good play today.
Yeah. We talked about him a good bit on Friday too. Let's see. Look outside your window. Appreciate the super chat. He said, I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. With less games on the slate, what is your percent ownership? What are we looking at this week? What are your thoughts on the flex percentages? Love you guys. Helmets up. Raz, curious to get a little bit of insight on what you're doing here. But for those of you who don't know what Look Outside Your Window is talking about, he's talking about where are we putting our projected ownership cap in the domination station? Where are we putting our flex percentages here for flex positions? And to have access to that, you have to be a DFS Army member. Click the link in the description to be able to follow along. Use the Black Friday code BF2025 for a 25% discount on that. And also, if you're a DFS Army member, you can ask us questions in the Discord, add us, DM us, and then we can answer those questions for you that we aren't able to get to on the show. But yeah, Raz, what are you doing settings-wise here?
Well, I'll speak for Burns on the percentage just because I know he's talked about it a lot already in his channel today. 140% is the number that we're looking at as of now. I am currently running mine for the first time today. So all I know for my flex percentages right now is tight end's going to be maxed at 5%. Part of that is because like I don't need double tight end because I'm going so cheap at quarterback with such a high percentage of my lineups.
Fair.
So I don't need that. and I'm somewhat limiting like JSN's ownership in my run. So like I have a lot of salary, so I'm seeing what it's going to give me at running back and wide receiver to start out, and then I'm going to adjust. But I'm going to guess that both those spots are going to be capped around 60%, which is kind of the way that I've been doing it for the last handful of weeks.
Okay. Burns, where are you falling on the flex percentages?
So I'll be at 55, 15, 100 today, on the flex.
1500. Nice. Okay. Sounds good. Appreciate that super chat again. Look outside of your window. All right. MPH said Harborough mentioned possibly putting Jamari Slayer back at left tackle like he was in 2022, which could help the Chargers offensive line. Yeah, that would be nice if they could actually not suck for a little bit.
They definitely need the help. That's for sure.
Yeah, anything at this point would be good. Sean Tucker, question that Nathan has. Did you think about Sean Tucker at all, Burns?
No. He popped off a couple weeks ago against Buffalo, but I don't know. Bucky Irving's back. This backfield now is it's kind of a muddled mess right now until we see how this game plays out. I just don't really know how healthy Bucky Irving is. Yes, he's a full go today, but in reality, do we really know how much like they're going to give him for production, snap share, or anything? So it's kind of a wait and see process for me on this game, in this offense. I just want to see it to see where they go with things. But yeah, I mean, Sean Tucker could, get a touchdown today. I just don't know.
Yeah, and because of that, I would go with Vidal here. All right, let's go ahead and move to the wideout position. A lot of viable wide receivers on this slate. It's a little tough to completely X out any of these guys. Raz, who's standing out for you? Starting off at the high end, and then curious to get your thoughts more broadly as well.
Well, I already mentioned that I'm kind of capping JSN. Really, it's just the salary number for me. 9,500 is pretty ridiculous for a wide receiver. I think it's just easier to go down. It's a big gap, right? Like you have JSN, then you have Puka, and then you have a $1,500 drop to the third wide receiver. I am going to play a decent amount of Puka, but like I kind of want to live in the 7K and under wide receivers with Waddle, Collins, Ekbuka, those kind of guys. Somebody just posted in Burns chat that it's pouring in Miami. And if that's the case, I am a little worried. Tua, not exactly known for arm strength and all that stuff. So there's some issues potentially there from a passing game standpoint. So maybe I have to come off of Waddle a little bit. I am going to tag our weather guy here in a second and find out an update just on that. But yeah, I have a lot of salary to spend, like I mentioned before, but I just don't like JSN at 9,500 it's got to go for 38 to 4X for large field GPPs. And that's a nuts number for a wide receiver. We talked about weeks ago with Jonathan Taylor, and people were off of JT because of his price point. I think it's easier for a running back to get there than a wide receiver. So if people are going to be off of JT at that high 9K number, I really think you kind of have to be off of, or I guess a little conservative with JSN at that number in a game that I just don't think is going to be competitive.
All right. Burns, how are you thinking about things here?
What was the question again?
Wide receivers, just broadly, who's standing out for you?
Yeah, up top. I mean, the two guys, JSN and Puka Nacua, are they're beasts. They're beasts for a reason. Devontae Adams, I kind of talked about disguised coverages that Carolina plays. So the coordinators for Carolina and the coordinators for LA really know each other well. They came from the same coaching trees. Devontae Adams in disguised coverages doesn't lead to that type of production that Puka does. It's not really close. So for me, like the only thing about Puka that kind of gives me pause is the fact that Devontae is such a heavily utilized tool in the red zone.
Yep.
And so that gives me pause on Puka. Justin Jefferson is an absolute 0 no for me. No. Jalen Waddle, I get it. The weather, I haven't seen anything that where things are making it where I need to lower my exposure to him. So I'll stay at the same exposure rate. Nico, I added him in. Kind of touched on him earlier. Emeka is the guy that I think is kind of interesting this week. And so I'll have a decent share of him. And I'm trying to get him outside of the Baker stuff, the Baker lineups. So I don't mind Emeka at all. I think he's a good one-off guy too. Olave is a volume machine. And then as we get going down further and further, it gets more and more meh as we get further and further down. But yeah, like those are the guys that I try to build around, and then I just fill it in with other guys. Most of my cheat sheet pretty much has a lot of this covered.
Yeah.
From a metric standpoint for each one of these guys on their coverages. But a guy that's kind of sticking out in coverage today, in this lower salary range of like 5K, 5,500s and below, is Keenan Allen. And I just don't know if he'll get there today from an actual fantasy production, but his coverage metrics are really good for this today. So, but he is on my cheat sheet. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with a lot of what you all touched on here. The only thing is I'm significantly under the field on Nico Collins. So if he has a big day, that's going to suck for me. And then I'm significantly over the field on Darnell Mooney, who, I like Kirk Cousins today. So that's just going to happen pretty naturally. And then we didn't really touch on value receivers, but for me, the Jets receivers, like both Mechie and AD Mitchell, are guys that I have a lot of exposure to. But Raz, how are you treating value receivers on this slate so far?
Yeah, I mean, Mechie and Adonai Mitchell are going to be guys that I'm going to have a lot of, just because, like I mentioned, I'm triple stacking the Jets to be a little different with my Tyrod shares. So that's just going to be automatic. I don't really love some of the value. I mean, like Kamara DK at 4,400, probably still a value. Io Manor probably going to be in some lineups, even though I prefer DK and Gunnar Helm as my Cam Ward combos. I mean, like the Saints guy, Devon Vele, 7 targets, I think it was last week, but he's just not somebody that excites me at all. I do think like somebody like Gabe Davis could be somebody that we have a few percentages of big play potential against that Steelers pass defense. Even though it looks like Keon Coleman and Brandon Cooks are both active, going to be active today. But I mean, Gabe Davis, obviously just one catch for 50 yards and a touchdown, certainly possible. But yeah, I don't love a lot of the cheap wide receivers overall. I'm getting some Jaden Higgins. Like, kind of worry about some of the other Texans wide receivers because they've been doing it with Davis Mills, like CJ Stroud coming back. Like, does Stroud just rely on Nico and Dalton Schultz only? That's kind of my worry. One guy that is a dart throw play for me is Jalen Naylor for the Vikings. A lot of this comes from, when we see backup and third string quarterbacks come in, he's 3,200, I think, come in, they lean on the guys that they've spent the most practice time with. And with Naylor being down, the 4th wide receiver, 5th wide receiver, he's had a big game already, and I think that was with Carson Wentz. But so it's a backup quarterback thing. He's looked better than Jordan Addison has recently. So if the Vikings can move the ball a little bit, like if Brosmer's not complete trash, I think Jalen Naylor could have a handful of catches.
That right there is a question I haven't asked myself this week enough. What if the Vikings offense doesn't completely suck? That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, I mean, like I pointed out in my afternoon notes is like I'm only playing Justin Jefferson and Brosmer teams in that afternoon. So that basically tells me I'm not playing Jefferson at all on the main slate.
Yeah.
Like if Brosmer's not ass, it's probably with Justin Jefferson going, 8 for 140, with a touchdown or something, which Jefferson really hasn't done yet this year. So I think it's a quarterback issue, not a Justin Jefferson issue.
Valid. Burns, how are you treating these cheapies down here?
I'm trying to cap them because, well, first of all, I cap everybody, but under the cap that I have as a global for the respective position of 30%, guys like Adonai Mitchell, Mechie, Alik Eomanor, I haven't capped Jaden Higgins under 30%. I'm just going to let him fly. But these guys, I capped Adonai Mitchell at 15%. I capped Mechie at 20%, and I capped Eomanor at 15%. These are just guys for me. So I'm just like, I don't need, I don't know. I need them for salary relief, for value, but I don't need them for much else other than that. So they're just player pieces. They're player pieces.
Yeah, I see things similarly there. JB Yankee said, "Would you play your Cam Ward stack in single entry, Raz?"
In the large field version of it, yes. I'm not playing a Cam Ward stack in a 500, 700 person single entry. Like that 500 or that $5 100K prize pool single entry on DK. I have no problem doing it. I might do it. I haven't decided which lineups are going in single entry just yet, but yeah, it's certainly something I'm considering.
Sweet. All right, everybody's favorite position, the quarterback position. Burns,
You mean the tight end position, not the quarterback position? You said the quarterback position, and if we want to go back and talk about quarterbacks.
I want to backtrack. Burns, how are you thinking about tight ends here?
I think tight ends is it's seemingly tricky from the outside on the outside looking in. Like everybody's like, oh man, Trey McBride's upwards of $8,000. So that in that sense is tricky. And then the next lowest guy's 2K below him. But there are some really good spots. Like Aronde Gadsden's in a really good spot today, but his ownership is massive. I mean, this guy has got 20% ownership on him right now. And then you got a guy like Kyle Pitts who's garnering a lot of ownership. He has not done it yet this year, or if he has, it was once. And so not really sure on him. I actually have him completely checked out of my MME runs. Dalton Schultz is a guy, he's starting to get a little bit more ownership now, but he has a really good matchup on the road. And then Juwan Johnson, I have him checked. Harold Fannin, got him checked. He's got a pretty decent matchup today. AJ Barner is a guy that I think is a great salary relief for you in Darnold lineups, especially because JSN is 9,500. So at 3,200, he adds that nice little salary relief there. And then there's two guys that are very interesting under 3K. Kind of touched on one of them earlier. Gunnar Helm is very interesting. Chig Okonkwo has lost the tight end snap shares in this offense. Gunnar Helm has become the guy. at the tight end spot for the Tennessee Titans. And then talked about him a little bit earlier. Taysom Hill he's quite an intriguing piece today with no Alvin Kamara. And we've seen it before in the past where Taysom Hill has actually done damage. So would I run him in single entry? Probably not, because he's either hit or miss, and he's probably more miss than he's going to be hit. But Gunnar Helm would probably be my single entry, super low salaried guy.
All right. Raz, how are you thinking about things?
Pretty similar to Burns. I'm not as high on Gadsden as the field is. I am pivoting from him to Juwan Johnson at basically the same price point at a fifth of the ownership right now. I am playing Kyle Pitts just because I think the targets are there. I don't feel great about it. But like I mentioned, I need bringbacks for my Tyrod triple stacks.
Yeah, you do.
TJ Hawkinson, great matchup. He looks like dust. Which version, which side of that debate wins out? I'm not sure.
The dust part.
I am going to mix him in just because, like, we talk about it with rookie quarterbacks, like tight ends and running backs are their best friends early on.
Sure.
So maybe Hawkinson. One that was brought up in chat that I see that I am playing is another sub 3K guy is Colby Parkinson, a touchdown in 3 straight games for the Rams. Without Higbee, I think there's touchdown upside for him, and that's kind of all he would need for us, to pay off is 2 catches for 30 yards and a touchdown, and he's basically gotten there the last couple of weeks. So this is kind of the only other one that I'm bringing up. I mean, like, you could play the roulette with the Steelers tight ends. Like, Freiermuth has looked better, but could it randomly be a Jonnu week? Probably. But yeah, everything else that Burns said is pretty much where I'm at. I guess nobody mentioned Brock Bowers. He's intriguing enough for me, from a target volume standpoint. And since he's 2K less than McBride, I think he is an interesting GPP pivot, but it's hard to trust anybody in the Vegas offense.
Fair.
I do like Genty for afternoon only stuff because his targets in the passing game have been up, and that could help us out, at a low owned play. But yeah, it's just really tough to trust Geno Smith really right now.
Yeah, afternoon only I can get behind, but main slate, that's a little tight for me. But I am with y'all, but the only guy that I think Burns, was it you or Bobby who liked Parkinson on Friday?
It was Bobby. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can actually get there with him. I don't know. He's a guy at 2,800. Yeah, he could do something today. I don't know.
Yeah, and I know some people are talking about it in the chat. I have some Darren Waller exposure. I don't feel great about it. I liked him in the Comeback Tour Part 1. Comeback Tour Part 2, I don't know how together he's really going to look here, but I do have a little bit of exposure. And then we will wrap up talking about defenses, and then we'll touch on all of our favorite super low-owned plays at each position. Defense is pretty spread thin when it comes to ownership. Everyone's pretty close to each other. How are you treating things here, Burns?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same adage that I have across every week. I play a lot of the favorites. They do really well. But they're getting to the point where their salaries are pretty expensive. And the really good ones are really expensive. Like Seattle is extremely expensive today. The Rams, so on and so forth. But of these ones that are lower in salary, like the Dolphins are intriguing today. The Browns that are not favored are intriguing. But the Colts, they're the one defense that I think is highly intriguing to me today. Honestly, I think the addition of Sauce Gardner makes this defense better on the secondary. He's kind of a guy where you just put him on the best receiver and he shuts down that side of the field. That's kind of why I like Dalton Schultz today. So I think the Colts were already a good defense. They added Sauce, made them a better defense. So I really like them today. Plus, they're one of the lowest salaried favored defenses on the board at 3,100. And then from there, I got two that I think have to be in your player pool today that are not favored outside of the Browns. I put the Browns in because of the fact that they're an absolute machine sacking the quarterback. The last 2 to 3 games, we're looking upwards of like 10 sacks total over those 3 games, if not more. Don't know the exact number, so I'm kind of just guessing on that number, but it's up there. It's really up there, double digits. And so the other two, Steelers at home. Josh Allen has 2 offensive linemen out in this game that are starters. Plus, Josh Allen, he's been sacked a good number of times this year, especially on the road. And the other one is the Tennessee Titans, who's not a terrible defense. And so Trevor Lawrence actually gets sacked. He's one of the most sacked quarterbacks on the road. And the Tennessee Titans at 2,200, I believe, are the actual single entry defense this week because they are not terrible defense, but they're a middling defense. And if you get them at 2,200 at home, that's not bad. So,
yeah. What about you, Raz? Anyone stand out here for you?
Well, Burns brought up 2 of my 3 highest owned defenses. And is, at the end, not even from the metric standpoint. Mm-hmm. The Browns have 28 sacks over the last 5 weeks.
That's crazy.
They're so good, especially at home. Purdy just turned the ball over 73 times last week, I think it was.
Sure felt roughly.
Like it. So the Browns at home just make a ton of sense.
There's also weather there today too, which should probably help.
Help him, help them out. But the Titans, to add on to what Burns said, pair him with Kamara DK, get that double dip punt return touchdown that he's done, I think twice already this year. And then the other one is going against Josiah and his love of Kirk Cousins this week is the Jets defense.
That's a hell of a play too. Yeah.
Jets at home, cheap enough. I mean, I just don't think that the Atlanta offense looks very good with Cousins at quarterback. So, and I felt like the Jets defense has played actually better since making those trades.
Yeah, they have
than they did early in the season. So, it's really did the front office kind of, I don't know, question their ability, and they're kind of taking it to heart maybe. Obviously, the last 2 weeks they have not played very well from a defensive fantasy point number. From a total yards allowed number, it hasn't been bad. They just haven't been able to get sacks or turnovers. But I'm willing to take that chance against this Atlanta offense, especially at home. Those last 2 weeks for the Jets have been on the road. So,
yeah. The one thing I'll say about their recent performance, though, is they faced the Ravens, and the Bengals were able to make the Ravens look like a bad offense. So, pretty easy matchup there. But I like those calls. There's not a defense that wasn't mentioned. So, I'll just go ahead and skip to a lot of people's favorite sneaky, low-owned plays that people aren't talking enough about. Burns, what are your thoughts here?
Let me pull up my ownerships. Let's see here. At the top, I'll go quarterback first. Let me see here. So at the quarterback position, kind of touched on a few of these guys over the course of it. So Cam Ward he's viable today. He's in my cheat sheets. Raz has talked him up, so I kind of let Raz talk him up a lot today. Tua Tagovailoa right now is at 5.5%. That's not bad. Let me refresh. I think might be a little bit higher now. Where is he? Tua still at 5.5%. So he's in play. Sam Darnold's under 10%. The guy, I talked about him earlier, Daniel Jones. To be honest with you, if he broke the slate, it would not surprise me one bit. To be quite honest with you, it would not surprise me, especially with how bad of a player pool we have for the quarterback position. So, I just don't think there's much there from a quarterback perspective. It's really just kind of play a larger player pool at the quarterback position, because you could actually have the need to do so. At running back, we talked about these two guys today, and we talked about them at length. I think two guys that are going to go under own for their respective matchups is Kyron Williams and Travis Etienne. I think they're just two guys that are really popping, that could actually just pop off today. Now that they do have pass to failure, and those pass are very high. So like everyone else on the slate today. But know that they can do very, very good things today. Let me move over to the wide receiver position. I think Emeka Ibuka's, yes, he's over 10%, but I think he's under-owned for his ability to produce today. Like, he could have a really good fantasy production day today. So he's one guy. I'm not going to touch on the top three guys that in salary. They're just really good plays, and I think you just need to play them. Other plays, I think looking at the Arizona game, I think it might actually be a Michael Wilson day. He's over top of MHJ on the prop. He's 4.9% ownership. Not really sure what MHJ is. MHJ is over top of him.
Yeah, it's like 6.
7. Yeah, so if I had to pick one between the two, I'd probably pick Wilson and save that $100. Yes, it can fail too. So those guys are pretty viable. And then another guy that's 5.5%. Talked about him a little bit, and because I just like the coverage scheme that he's going up against, and he could actually have a good day at home, is Keenan Allen. He's like 5.5% ownership. At the tight end, we get a lot more guys that are under 10% ownership, and we touched on a lot of these guys. But I think if I had to nail like a couple of these guys, like 3 of them, I think Taysom Hill could be one of them that pops today. I think Gunnar Helm as well. And these are very low salaried guys. And then I think another one that could, another one in the 3 range is AJ Barner. And then in the 4 range, it's Juwan Johnson. And then at defense, basically I called it out earlier, is the Colts. So
boom. Love it. All right. Razzle dazzle. How are you seeing it?
Quarterback, I'll just mention that even though Burns brought him up again, it's Cam Ward for me, and it's where I'm going to live and die today.
Y'all are really trying to get me to switch up. I'm not going to, though.
You can see me in Discord complaining or being super happy by 12:30 Central Time.
I'll be happy for y'all if he goes off.
Like, my day will be ruined if he looks like trash, and then I can just log out of everything and go out to shovel. At the running back position, really, for me, it's the 2 Pittsburgh running backs, like Right now, they're coming in combined projected at just under 7%. So both guys, I am going to be double the field on at minimum. Probably closer to triple the field would be my guess. I mean, Aaron Jones, I did mention before, but that's, game script. He's probably the best option from a game script standpoint because we just expect Seattle to win that game. But yeah, wide receiver, it's tougher. Like I'm automatically going to get a lot more of Iomanner and Kamara DK, cheap, lower owned guys because I'm so heavy on Cam Ward.
Sure.
I was going to save him for Josiah, but like Darnell Mooney just stands out, at just 4%. Obviously, I mentioned my dislike of Atlanta overall, but that percentage as the de facto wide receiver 1 at this point seems pretty low. But yeah, a lot of these other guys are just kind of dart throwy. I mean, Tez Johnson being at 2% feels pretty low. I don't know if everybody's just worried about Godwin returning or what is going on with that, but Tez, like, especially because I've seen him mentioned so much in chat. I've seen him mentioned, a little bit on some other shows that I watched this morning. I feel like if he's 2%, then we definitely have to play, 5, 6, 7%. But he's one that I do feel like is a little higher owned. But yeah, that's kind of it at the wide receiver position. Tight end.
Yeah.
Okay. AJ Barner, Gunnar Helm, Juwan Johnson. For me, Colby Parkinson. And I will sprinkle in the TJ Hawkinson play just in hopes that he's not complete dust, even though I do kind of believe that he's complete dust.
Now, honestly, I'm just happy you brought up that question of what happens if they don't suck, because I don't think enough people ever do that. But I'm with y'all on a lot. Like with the running back position, you all already kind of touched on my guys there. Receiver, same thing. But at quarterback, I like Tua. I mentioned that already. And then tight end, all these guys are pretty low owned, but Tyler Warren's the guy that I have significant leverage on. And then defense, I'll say the Rams, because they have a great matchup against the Panthers, and that's always a nice one. So that's going to be it for us today, y'all. That's the problem, Nathan. I've already had gummies before, and I'm still not on Cam, so maybe I'm taking the wrong thing. Let me know. But for the questions that we missed, reach out in the Discord. We'll hook you up. But I wish you all luck tonight and today, and I hope you all have a great slate. It's going to be weird. It's going to be ugly. Be prepared mentally for that to happen. But we can still have some awesome takedowns along the way. So have a good one, y'all. Peace.